Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Milsurp World podcast. I'm your host, Danny, today, and we are joined by Aaron, Jared, and from across the pond, Hamish.
You almost forgot my name.
Oh, I didn't know which order. I didn't forget your name, but it was like I'm looking at the screen and I almost did Jared, you, and then I was like, oh no. Anywho, I kind of did alphabetically. I almost said from down under, Hamish, but then I decided to do across the pond because both equally wrong, but I thought one was slightly less offensive to Hamish. So
she'll be right. Doesn't bother me either way.
Okay. Well, dang it. Well, today we don't really have a topic. This is just going to be kind of a little bit of a rambly one. We'll just talk about the market and stuff, what's going on. I think we've all seen plenty of Milsurps. I also have a little bit of trivia. I just have a few questions I put together to ask everybody. I guess we can go ahead and start with the trivia if that's okay with you guys.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to be doing this is sort of an honor system, right? So I'm going to ask the question, and we're just going to go one at a time. Everybody just kind of say. I guess we'll start with Aaron. We'll go Aaron, Jared, and Hamish. Everybody just say the answer that they think it is, and the honor system is that you can't change it if you hear one that you think is more correct than what you thought of. You have to say your initial thought that you were going to answer with before.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. All right, so we're going to start off here, softball. What bolt-action rifle had a standard magazine capacity of 12? Cue the Jeopardy music. Aaron, do you have any idea?
I think I might have a guess, but that's...
Okay.
It's just a guess. Am I going to guess now? This is poorly set up!
Yeah, go ahead, Aaron.
Yeah, go ahead.
The Swiss Vetterli.
You know what? It's funny, as I was speaking that aloud, I was like, wait a second. You know what? You are right. There are two.
Yeah.
There are two correct answers for that.
I go next, and it's the Swiss 1889 Schmidt-Reuben.
Oh,
the only Schmidt-Reuben.
Oh yeah, the only
that was
one.
going to be my guess. 1889's Schmidt-Reuben.
Nice.
That was.
And as I wrote this, I forgot about the Vittler. I should have said something like
12,
smokeless. Right? What's smokeless bolt action rifle? There we go.
I was going to say, is this a trick question? Because I was like, no, he said standard magazine rifle.
Yep. Well, bolt action had a standard magazine capacity of 12. Yep.
I was like, so that still counts.
Okay.
Unless I was.
It does.
No, he's right.
Yep.
I couldn't remember if it was 12, but I thought it was.
You are technically right, which is the best kind of right.
Yep. Okay. Next question. Here we go. Maybe this one will be more right. Which Mannlicher, in quotations, was chambered in 303 British? Again, maybe I should have the stipulation, like which standard issue, which non-experimental gun.
Wasn't it the Indonesian?
Yeah, that's my
thing.
It
was the Indonesian.
Yeah, it's the Indonesian conversion guns from the Dutch.
Yeah, it would have to be that, but I was thinking you were trying to say the Ross was a Mannlicher style, which it kinda, I guess, maybe.
Nah, fam.
All right, then I was wrong.
All right.
Yeah, definitely the Ross.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did the Dutch KNIL. I guess is that just pronounced nil, or do you pronounce the K in it? KNIL conversion rifles.
I think you need to pronounce the acronym, Danny.
KNIL.
No, the whole thing, the actual spell.
It's like knife, pneumonia. Okay.
Kniffy.
All right, here we go. Next question. How many locking surfaces does a Chilean 1895 Mauser have? How many locking surfaces does a Chilean 1895 Mauser have?
I'll say 3.
2.
You got what do you think, Hamish?
3.
The tab on the back of the bolt is not a locking surface.
Man, I was counting that as a locking surface.
It's like the third lug in a 98. It doesn't actually engage anything. It's a safety. It's not a locking surface.
Safety lug. Okay. Shit.
Worst trivia ever. Doing great at trivia.
Worst trivia ever.
Yeah.
I know. I need Trivia Tom back for this.
Yeah.
He's gonna be so mad.
Yeah. Sorry, Trivia Tom. This is what happens, though. This was very last minute. I messaged Hamish like 4 hours ago, and I was like, "Hey, he was probably asleep still." What time is it over there, Hamish?
It's coming up 1 o'clock.
Ooh.
in the afternoon.
Okay.
Oh.
Nice. But you're like a
it's
day.
tomorrow.
Yeah, it's tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're the first.
You're
and
in
9th.
September.
Sorry, you guys
We're
do it
still
back
in
to front.
August.
Yeah, you're in September over there. We're August time here, man.
Called time travel.
Woo!
That's what we're
All
doing.
right. The next incorrect question is which post 1889 Mauser or Mausers can have the safety engaged while decocked?
Swedish Mauser.
That's the Swedes.
Which post 1889 Mauser or Mausers can have the safety engaged while decocked?
Oh, those are 96s.
I want to say something South American. I'll go Chilean 1912.
Yeah. I'll go Brazilian.
You guys just naming them now?
Well,
I'm going American. The 1903 and the P17.
No,
and
no,
the P14.
actual Mausers, not
Oh, okay.
not Mauser
Not Mauser
derivatives.
actions. Oh, okay.
Yeah, these are actual, not
It'll be
variants.
a 1908 Brazilian Mauser.
It's any of the
That's what it
large
is.
rings. Is mine. So the 12, the 08, the 09
They can have
Argentinian.
the safety can be engaged while they are decocked.
I don't know then.
I
thought they
made
could.
my guess.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was thinking
Well,
large rings.
Swedish
That was
Mausers.
just a guess.
Swedish Mausers can have the safety engaged while they're decocked.
Was it? I thought you said 1899.
Post 1889. So after 1889. A couple people guessed Swedes earlier.
Yeah, we said Swedes, and then you said post, and I thought you said 1899. So we were.
1889. Post 1889.
Oh, okay.
Did I say the wrong thing?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh
I
shit!
don't know.
I'm fucking terrible at
Maybe
this.
maybe you didn't, but I'm defending myself because me and Hamish both were like the Swedes,
right.
and you're like both.
Post 1889 So you and Hamish both got that one.
Yeah, it was the Swedes.
Second
And,
guessing the
yeah,
Swedes. I'm like,
No, you both did, but there's one more.
I don't know.
I feel like
yeah, I've got no idea. Sorry.
the Argentine 1891. It was
Oh.
not carried over into later Argentine Mausers, just the Argentine
Oh, I even
1891.
had one of those.
I didn't even know that.
That's quite cool.
That's interesting. I
Oh
learned
wait, it's
something
because
today.
my safety was broken on mine. That's why.
He got us on
Was
the
it all
last
matching?
one.
Yep. Here we go. There's two more,
Oh,
both equally as terrible. Don't worry. This Mauser carbine was made in the 9mm Bergman cartridge.
so I know the answer.
Wait.
This Mauser carbine was made in the 9mm Bergman cartridge.
I think it's.
I want to say
that
the
the-
destroyer.
That's what I thought was the
I thought it
destroyer.
was the destroyer.
The Destroyer! Yep,
Yeah,
yep.
it's in
I tried to throw you off a bit. I called it the 9mm Bergman instead of Largo.
same caliber.
But they are the same. Yep, same cartridge. Just the Spanish called them the Largo.
It's the same size as 9
instead of
Steyr too,
instead of
but I think
Bergman.
Steyer's a little hotter.
Yeah, a lot of copying going on with
Steyer's a
those
little
early.
hotter, yeah. Steyer's
Yeah.
hotter.
So I thought Steyr was hotter, but you can use the brass, yeah, or something like that, yeah.
All right. Okay, this one it might be just as equally poorly worded. What repeating rifle was introduced just a bit too late with a black powder 8mm cartridge?
Any Kropacek?
Yeah, it's a crop.
Yep.
Portuguese
Crop check.
specifically, if you want to get me super specific.
Yeah.
Actually, it's a Portuguese 1886 crop. Yep, crop. What a
I never
crappie!
I can
What a
never say the
crappie
name.
rifle!
What a pun.
There's actually one of them at my local gun store.
How much they want?
Or
course.
something.
Of course, Danny asked that question. What? Well, hey, yeah. What's going on?
I think it was
Yeah,
like
what's going on here?
$4.75.
Oh, that's good. That's a good price. That's
not-
like
Great. Like the gun's not great, but I mean it's.
oh, I mean, if it was like good shape,
I would say good.
I'd snatch it.
Well, next time I go back to Bell Vernon, I'll go and swing in and get it.
They're just funky
Go for
guns,
a lot
man.
less here. They don't go for a huge amount because you can't really shoot them. And most of New Zealand collectors want to shoot them in general. So they go for about 250, 300 US here.
Mm.
And it doesn't really matter what condition they are in, just because not many people collect them in general.
It's interesting how Kropatcheks would end up in New Zealand or the US for that matter.
It's quite
I guess.
funny what we have here, though. Like there's hundreds and hundreds of Thompson machine guns that have been unfired since World War II.
Oh, like
Just,
land lease kind of stuff, like aid that was dropped off,
and from all over the world. Because we can't fire our full auto guns in New Zealand, all of them have pretty much just been unfired, apart from when they go or to an armory. So they're some of the best condition guns because they sit in a safe or sit on a wall or in a museum. But good luck getting them out of New Zealand.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
we'd have to cut them up to get them into the U.S. now. The U.S.
Oh, yeah, that'd be
laws,
a shame.
you have to, the receivers of machine guns have to be torch cut into 3 pieces in order for them to not be firearms anymore. So
And
they're pretty much,
it has to be torch cut because they have to take a certain amount of metal out of them, so you can't just
yeah.
weld
So you
them
can't
back
just
together.
weld them back together easy.
As easy,
Yep.
yeah.
Yep, and barrels can't be imported like that.
Plus
That's
922.
dumb.
Yeah. Lots of weird. It's really weird. It's like once a gun is in the U.S. or if it's made in the U.S., like you can have like a lot of different, crazy stuff. But as far as importing, it's pretty tough to import anything, anything fun.
Even something like that, which is American.
Yeah, I know. Ship it back. Yeah, we made it. Bring it back.
Yeah,
No.
repatriate it.
Yeah.
It took
Come back
forever
with all
just to get
these
those.
Savage number 4 Mark 1 stars because they say US property on them. Surely you can get those back.
Yeah, hopefully, man. Yeah, there's a thing a lot of people do in the U.S. I've run across a few of them at shows. You'll find like a 1911 or something, and those are U.S. property marked. And sometimes they'll scratch out the U.S. property mark. Sometimes on those, I've seen both the serial number and the U.S. property mark, like scratched out. Which then it gets into an interesting game because typically when a firearm's serial number is removed, the gun is just contraband immediately. However, if the serial number was removed before 1968, you can have it. But it's this weird gray area because, like, how do you prove it? But, if the gun existed
How do you
well
prove
before.
that?
Yeah, it's one of those weird things. Like, if the gun existed well before 1968, like a 1911, maybe the vet scratched it out in the 40s when he brought it back or something like that. You could, I don't know. I haven't heard of any cases of anybody being charged or anything like that, but just one of those weird laws, man.
That's pretty silly.
Yeah.
Almost
You
like
wanna hear
a signature next to it with a date and a time.
Yeah, it's a thing. There's this guy at my local gun show who he actually saw a 1911 like that with the serial number scratched out, and he's like he's a private guy, doesn't have an FFL or anything, but he just sets up at the show, and he like ratted the guy out, saying that it was like contraband. Like he went and got the cops and was like, "Hey, the serial number is scratched out on that gun," and like I've never heard of anybody doing that, but we have this one tattletale at our local show.
Does he have good stuff?
Hello, yeah.
He normally does high priced, but he has a lot of Milsurps.
That sucks.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of weird. Yeah, he really does. He prices his stuff like well above retail, and he brings it to show after show. He doesn't seem to mind, but he buys a lot of stuff. He showed me pictures of his like gun basement. Like he turned his basement into like a vault basically, and he's got like I don't know how many hundreds of guns down there, but he's showing me some pictures. So he's like a wealthy gentleman that doesn't care if he sells, I guess. But it's just weird. You don't hear about too many rats like that. Like some other guys at the show, they warned me. They came to me and they were like, "Hey, don't like be careful when dealing with this guy because if there's anything shady at all, like he'll go and tell the cops or whatever." I was like, "What? That was weird." And he's like, "Yeah." So they told me a story that some guy came in the show with a some type of old gun made in the 20s or something like that. So, in the 20s before the NFA, there was a lot of like weird, like short barrel-y type guns going on. Like there were a lot. It was pretty common for a lot of like 22s and single shot 22s and stuff to have like 14-inch barrels, like in the 20s. And so he had some weird pistol like that from the 20s that was like this gray area. And when he walked in, he just straight up went and got a cop and told him like, "Hey, it's illegal," which is pretty effed up.
Yeah, it's not very nice.
Especially when you don't really know the rules.
Yeah.
In that instance, you know what I mean? Like I could understand if you saw someone with something blatantly obvious, like a high point with no serial number, but something like a 1911 where it could have happened before then, you should know that rule before you go, trying to throw someone under a bus, in my
Give them
opinion.
the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, ain't their fault.
Yeah.
They might not
Yeah.
even know what they've got. That's probably what most people do anyway. Like I constantly see on Facebook people posting up their 9130s going, okay guys, tell me what I've got. I want to know what this is. What's so special about it?
What
And
battle
Oh,
was
yeah.
it used in?
Yeah.
Yeah.
K98s that have been Russian refurbs, and you go, this was junk.
Yeah.
There's nothing
Yeah.
special.
It's so funny how often that happens. I even get people that message me every now and then basically asking me that. It's like, cool, like, that's where it was made. That's the year it was made. And they're like, and they're like, okay, well, it was in World War II.
Yeah.
And that's it,
You should
man.
just
Like,
give
they
them
didn't.
some random German person's name and this is where they lived, and this is a number of people they shot, and all this sort of stuff, and they'll probably believe
Oh
you.
yes, it was.
Yeah.
This was the actual rifle of General von Pretzel, and he carried this in the Battle of the Running Bull.
They
I
would
got-
believe you.
I got into an argument with a guy one time because he had showed me it was an M9130 that was 44, and I was like, you probably never saw service. And he goes, what? And I go, they had millions of these, like in 44, it probably never saw service. And so he threw a big fit to me about, like, no, for sure it was in this battle, this battle. I'm like, no, man, like there's a good chance it probably wasn't.
Yeah, by that late for the
You get hung up
Russians.
on that.
44, 45,
Yeah.
maybe.
Maybe.
There's no way to know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it depends on the country. Like if it was German, yeah, it probably saw something in 44 because the front lines were right there. But like American stuff, like yeah, no,
Even
gotta get across the ocean.
even German stuff, you can never really say for sure. Like, yeah, we made it in Belgium, and they captured the train as it was going through, so it never went anywhere. Like it,
Oh,
it
yeah.
really, you know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
it's impossible to actually nail something like that down unless it's someone brought it back and they say that and they have documentation or something that says they
Yeah.
got it here.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, capture papers or some other type
Yeah.
of
Even
Well,
then,
type
does it
of deal.
really matter?
No.
It does
Like,
to some people, like
no.
a lot, man. They really want to know.
I struggle with that.
They really want to know like the minute details of things like that, and it's kind of neat, which is why a lot of people really like the K31 tags in the butt stocks,
Yeah.
butt plates.
Yeah.
It's like one of
I
the
must
only
admit,
things
I
that
get asked that a lot.
yeah, it's like one of the only really gun things that exists like that. Like the Swiss troop tags.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fun. If you buy a new one and you want to get home and take the butt plate off and look underneath and see.
And the one that I had did have a tag in it, so that's kind of neat,
Does mine that I bought from you? I never pulled it up.
Yes,
Okay, cool.
I think so. I think it does.
Didn't even
yeah.
check. The other one I own,
You
I know
should check.
doesn't. Yeah, I'll go look after we're done.
I think
lot
I
of
did a
Swiss
video
people
on
don't
it.
even really. Well,
What? Sorry.
I've contacted a couple of people at I get K31s from Switzerland reasonably often, and a lot of Swiss people say, "Oh, don't bother contacting them. Like they don't really care that much. It was their service rifle. For me, it would be like if it was my dad's or my granddad's service rifle, I'd have an emotional attachment to it. But they just go, oh, it's just a granddad's gun. Yeah, you can have it. Like I bought a K11 and a K31, and it's the father and son
Oh, neat.
guns. So it's got the same address, same last name, and the person that I bought it from knew the son, which I thought was quite cool. I personally would never sell something like that, but
Yeah, that's really neat.
I think it's something that's quite cool to have. And even there was a SIG P210 there as well, which I thought was quite cool, which was someone else in the family's pistol. But they don't really care too much about their service rifles, which I think is probably very important. But yeah, I guess it's each to their own.
It's I've had it described to me. It's like the equivalent of a hammer. It's a tool.
It's a tool.
It's like you're selling like a tool. Like I don't have an emotional attachment to my dad's hammer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I like we don't get that, but like that's why people get rid of it because they don't see any attachment to it. They don't see that like we do.
Yeah, it's interesting. I wonder if that's, I don't know, like a British Commonwealth / American sentiment or something. Because I'm kind of sentimental. Like I would, like my dad's gone, so like I would probably cherish like his hammer. You know what I mean? So like, especially his service rifle or something like that. Like that's interesting. It must just be the mentality over there.
Well, we had the guy here from Switzerland.
Yeah.
And he was different though. Like he was more like us in terms of like he didn't understand people selling stuff like that. But that's the mentality is that they don't see it as something that's sentimental.
Yeah, and I know Kuno quite well, and he comes across it all the time. Lots of people selling guns and seeing things like ZFK 55s being sent to the police to get destroyed. He just like it breaks my heart thinking that something like that's being destroyed, but it happens every year. People don't know what they've got over there, and it's easier just to give it to the police instead of giving it to someone that sells guns, is what the police are pushing.
Oh, man.
So,
at the rate everybody's exporting Swiss guns from Switzerland, I wonder how long until they're going to be like either gone or just so expensive in Switzerland that they're no longer going to be viable to export.
they're expensive in Switzerland now, and they're getting expensive there because there's not that many.
Oh,
I can tell you that. I noticed it when I was in an auction about 3 days ago. So yes, they're getting very expensive over there. I'd say 3 to 4 times the price.
Oh, wow. Dang. Somebody offered me a K31 with a bayonet at the last gun show. He offered it to me for $650, which I thought about it and I was like, let me, I was like, I don't know, let me think about it, kind of thing. And then later on, he walked up and he's like, yeah, I sold it. And I was like, oh, good. What'd you get for it? And he's like, oh, I went down to 6. I was like, man, like that's what it would have taken for me to do it. Like if you had said 6, I would have probably got it, especially with the bayonet. But
Danny, I'm gonna step away for a minute. You guys can keep talking. I'm gonna keep.
Okay.
What about do you guys get a lot of sawback bayonets or anything like that in the 1914 Pioneers?
Yeah, I've seen them quite often. They're not uncommon, but they never sell because I don't know if people think they're German or just any sawback is immediately just worth crazy money, but people are always asking a lot of money for them, like $300, stuff like that for a sawback. Which, like, if I was going to spend, $300 on a sawback bayonet, it wouldn't be a Swiss one. I'd get a German.
I've noticed that too. Yeah. Anytime I saw one, they were at least $300.
Yeah, I don't get it. I think they were cheap like 10, 15 years ago or something like that, or at least cheaper. But yeah, every time I see them, man, because I want one. Like I don't have a Swiss Pioneer. But yeah, every time I see one, it's like, yeah, nope, the opportunity cost. Like I could get a dang Mosin for that.
Yeah.
Can you import bayonets?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're not like regulated or anything. Bayonets, you can just import them like anything.
I'll give you a link.
Oh,
2.
All right,
Danny. 2.
You have to keep it close to your chest.
I gotta.
All right. All right.
Don't worry, I already got to put his kid through college. Trust me, it's fine.
Oh yeah. Anytime I want to get.
I got some links that I can send you from Switzerland.
Nice. Thank you.
They'll ship to you as well, which is good.
Oh, great. Awesome. Yeah, that'd be nice. I recently I sold a couple Swiss bayonets that I just had laying around, and I realized that I accidentally sold my nice ones instead of my like junk ones, like the less nice ones. So I had a little bit of seller's remorse there. I want to do the opposite.
Yeah, you don't want to do that too often.
Yeah. So that same gun show that I got offered the K31, he also had a 9130 that he ended up selling for $280 that I turned down. Another guy had a really beautiful Swedish M96. It had like the French walnut stock. Forgot, like 1913 dated, something like that, matching numbers. And he wanted $450 for it. And
that's not bad.
Yeah, I think those are 5 or 550, something like that now for the M96s. I'm not sure.
What year was it?
I think 1913 or 1914. Can't remember exactly.
That's quite
But it
cool.
did have a walnut stock, which the stock was beautiful. Oh, and it had the trajectory plate on it, the M96 trajectory plate. So I thought was pretty cool. But I thought really hard about it. I was like, I had some other stuff on my mind that I was going to try to buy at that show. So I turned it down too. Oh, last weekend I
It
missed.
turned me into a Swedish fan.
Oh yeah,
Yep.
that's cool. I
Ever
try
since the
to.
first podcast.
I try to get people into it. There's a guy I know here, Matt, and I keep trying to get him to buy one. I'm like, man, you got to get one because the shop he works at gets them in every now and then. And they had a 9638, like a 38 that was shortened from a 30 from a 96, and it was like $450, something like that.
Oh, that's a really good price.
Yeah, there's a couple catches to it. Like it didn't have a rear sight, which I told him like I had one, I can give it to him, and it had a threaded muzzle, so it was a B model, and then it had a FSR style bolt body in it, which was weird. Like the cocking piece and everything matched the receiver, but the bolt body didn't match the receiver, and it had the swept back handle with the like threaded, and it had that the big black like knob like screwed onto it. I've seen those before on like the like FSR guns, and that didn't look like it was set up to be an FSR rifle. So I don't quite, because they swept the handle back, because so on the FSR rifles, for those that don't know it, the Swedes, the FSR is the Swedish civilian like shooting association, and it's like government sponsored. And one of the things they would do is they would drill and tap the receiver bridge at the back of the gun, and they would mount a diopter sight in the rear of the gun, and then they would add a corresponding front sight to it on top of that, and gives it a really nice long sight picture, especially on an M96. It's a real long sight picture, and but the bolt handle being straight, it goes right up next to, real close, like you can't actually hold it when it goes up. So they would add these little swept back bolt handles. I don't know if they were like a custom job or if they would just modify them, but they would also sometimes add a little knob to it to make it easier to grab. But pretty much you had to have that swept back bolt handle if you were going to have an FSR rear diopter sight on the gun. But so I thought it was pretty neat. It was a pretty neat gun, 450, but to get it into like proper M90 or M38 specs, like you'd have to buy a bolt and put a rear sight on it, stuff like that. But so that's been coming up.
Like interesting, because that's like I've got a 1944 Husqvarna FSR rifle with no diopter sight on it, but it's been drilled and tapped.
Yep, it had one on it then.
It has, but the bolt is original.
Yeah, they didn't.
It would be just a.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, sorry to interrupt you. They didn't always have the swept back bolts. They didn't always.
Okay.
They seem to be the exception, than like the rule for them, the ones that I've seen. But they do exist. I think it's in Crown Jewels. I forgot where I saw it.
I better go back and get that book out and start reading it more. I'm trying to find a diopter sight to go on it.
Yeah.
Because I thought 1944 is quite a cool gun to have it on, especially a Husqvarna.
Yeah, I'm looking at mine. I'm trying to see the date. Both are 43s. Yeah, I have the two Husqvarna M96s, and one has the diopter sights, and the other one wasn't drilled for them. So.
Oh yeah, they've got quite a light stock on them, don't they?
Those two. Yeah, they're pretty. I think they're still beech.
Yeah.
I'm not a wood expert.
Fair enough.
Yeah, you're not an expert of wood, Danny?
No, not like you, Aaron.
I knew that was coming.
Yeah, who's it? I forgot who was it that said something about they love dark wood on guns.
I did.
Okay. Didn't remember if that was you or not. I didn't want to accuse you of that.
I'm a fan of dark wood.
Okay.
There's special places for that.
Yeah. I do have a beech M95 though, because the Bulgarians use that as a replacement wood, and it stands out. Like it stands out really nicely.
Yeah, it's neat. That's one of the one of the good things about like Swedes is the wide variety of wood. Like if you are a like wood person, there's lots of different types that you can find. Um, like looking at the lineup of mine, it's like I guess it just depended on the shortage, like what was available. I know they stopped doing the walnut during World War One, because that was going on. But oh, you guys want to hear a story from last gun show? I think I
Yeah,
told you,
sure.
Jared. So I went to a show in Council Bluffs, and I show up, and it was a weird show. It was Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Not too often are there like Friday shows, and it was a Friday afternoon. It was 4 p.m. to 9 p.m., which is it's pretty odd, like to be at a show, like getting close to dark kind of thing. But I get there. I got there a little bit later than I wanted to. And it was an outside show. There's like these 3 buildings, and I'm going through them. And when I get to one building, I get to the very back, and I see these guys, and they're looking at a K98K, and it looked like they just kind of walked up and started looking at it. And the guy's talking to them about it, and it was a 42 marked, so it was an Oberndorf gun. I'm not sure the year, but it was all matching except the rear band, and the guy just wanted $800 for it. And I overheard them, and I saw them looking at it and everything, and I was just kind of standing there next to them, kind of looking around, not being too obvious, because if like as soon as they walked away, I was going to pick that thing up and probably buy it, but they pulled out the money and bought it before I could get to it, and that was like the deal of the show, because I need a 42, no matter what year it is. I don't have a 42 marked K98K. Like I have a couple S/42s, and I have some BYFs, so. That was my missing out. I broke my own rule of, get to the show as soon as it opens on the first day to get the deals. So I'd lost a deal like that just by minutes.
Do you find if you sell at the show as well, it's good? Like you get better deals anyway because you're there before the doors even open. We have the same. We have it in New Zealand where if you're selling at a show, you tend to get better deals because you just walk around all of the stands before everyone comes in, buy what you want.
Yeah, exactly. That goes on here too.
Yeah, and I have a friend that sets tables up, and he's told me about that.
It's probably a good idea.
I mean, it makes sense.
Just a cheap 22.
Oh, you don't even need to sell anything. You just buy a table. They don't give a crap.
Yeah, you pay.
You can just buy a table and do a display.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea.
I know some people that they don't really put much on their table. They just sit and they just enjoying the weekend, shooting the breeze or whatever, and they'll just put maybe like a sign up, like saying want to buy World War II German memorabilia or whatever. They'll just they'll have a sign and they're just there to buy, not necessarily to to sell.
Yeah, and they hang out with their buddies or whatever at the table.
Yep. Yeah, that's pretty much it. But like the big Wanamaker show in Tulsa. They have, so it's open to the public on Saturday and Sunday, but Friday is the dealer only day. And from what I hear, like Friday is the day to go to get the deals. And that's what everybody goes and they get there because it costs extra money, but I guess you can buy like a dealer pass or something, and you can get there on Friday. And because when I was there in 2019, the last one or second to last one, it was. I saw a lot of like stuff like set off to the side that dealers had, and I would ask them about it. They're like, "Oh no, I picked that up on Friday. Like it's not for sale." So that seemed to be quite a
good stuff.
Yeah, and that happens a little bit. So like when I set up at my local show, I only done it once since my kid was born. But when I would set up there, we'd go on a Friday, and you bring all your stuff and getting ready, and it's kind of some of the other dealers are, and you can just walk around and look at other tables as guys are putting it out. And sometimes, you guys you can see what they're putting out and, oh shit, like, oh, can I buy that? Or sometimes they're weird about it though. I've run into a couple of those, and I guess they've been doing it for a while and they hate it when dealers do that. And they were like, oh, price will be on it tomorrow. I was like, oh, okay. But
mental note, aisle 3, 8:00. See you there.
Yeah, that's exactly what I did. I'm trying to tell myself, like, I think this is like good in life in general, but like set low expectations, for stuff. Cause the guy had a bunch of Milsurps and I'm getting like excited, like, oh, what, he's an old guy. Maybe he doesn't know prices and, oh, they're good deals. Oh, I'm like, that's going on in the back of my head, but I'm trying to set low expectations. I'm gonna be too high. Gonna be crap. You know.
Lower your standards, raise your average. All right.
Yeah. But yeah, I've been trying to get out to gun shows and stuff, but yeah, a few odds and ends.
And with COVID, how's that affected gun shows? Is there many gun shows still going on?
There are now. They're not shutting stuff down like they were last year. I think they're just kind of redoing mask mandates and stuff like that, but they're not really shutting anything down again, thankfully. I think people had enough of that, so they're not. At least around here, they're not shutting stuff down. So shows are still happening. They're just like saying to wear a mask, but a bunch like most people didn't have a mask on at the last show that I was at. Yeah, they're just walking around, which actually I brought my kid to, so I was like, I would like if they wore a mask so my kid doesn't get RSV. But
yeah, which is fair enough.
Yeah, which is weird because like I've never cared about that kind of stuff before, but now that I have a little like little newborn, I worry about everything. So
Yep.
Yeah.
It's not just you, Danny.
What? It's not?
Nope.
Oh man. Thought I was the first parent to worry.
No, it's not just about you, is what I mean. That's why you're worrying. That's what it is.
Kids. But
what? Sorry.
We lock our whole country down for one case. We had one community case. They
Just
locked the whole country down.
The one case.
And we're currently at, was it about 600 cases from that one person?
Wow.
Oh shit, that's
amazing
effectiveness rate as far as
that's
COVID
like
spread.
That sounds like
that
maybe
shows you how fast Delta. Well, I know there's people that don't believe in it, but that shows you how fast Delta spreads, and the cases keep going. It's about 70 cases a day from over 12 months of having no cases at all. Yeah, it's a bit of a change because we have gun auctions coming up and we've got gun events coming up and we can't really do any of it because the country is pretty much just locked down, which sucks because I just want to go out and shoot. But because where I am in like New Zealand's largest city, we can't really go out and shoot on our backyard. So I've had to change. I bought a crossbow so I could shoot on my back lawn and have a bit of fun. But now just waiting for it to come to New Zealand.
Man, yeah, there's a bunch of cases here. Not too many deaths though, luckily with Delta. But yeah, we had Delta. Pretty sure we had Delta like 4 weeks ago, which was pretty fun. But again, as like having a newborn with COVID is a whole nother thing. Like we didn't really care about ourselves that much, but
Yeah, that situation, Danny, must have been terrifying, and that's awful.
Yeah, because we were watching them because under 8 weeks old, it's like everything's an emergency. Like there is no like fever management or whatever. It's just take him to the emergency room. So, and he wasn't sleeping well, and we weren't sleeping well. There was one day where we got maybe maximum 4 hours of sleep in the whole day because he's throwing a fit and everything. But you're supposed to like rest and everything with it, but it was rough. Not to harp on that too long.
Oh, you don't have to worry about that, man. It's rough. I didn't have Delta, but it's not fun.
Yeah, which I'm like,
COVID.
Yeah, Aaron had it. He had the first one, I guess, last year.
Yeah, I had it in September.
The OG, the OG COVID.
September of last year. Yeah.
I got COVID Part 2, Electric Boogaloo.
Part 4, technically, I think, right?
Oh, yes.
This is Delta. It's Part 4.
Well, Delta is because it comes from the Delta River Valley of India or something like that.
Oh, I thought it was just because it was the 4th variant.
I thought so too, but then I heard
the name because you can't really call it just the Indian strain. From what I've heard, you can't really just go, oh, this is the Indian COVID.
Well,
So they had to change it. I think it was to Delta because of that.
Yeah, COVID's the first virus. There's like a ton that they in the past have named over like the country or region that it came from, and COVID's the first one that like they're being PC about, like where it came from.
It's the start. There'll be more. They'll change it.
Yeah.
Depends if you got a tinfoil hat though.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's nuts. I can't believe they shut you down completely, man. For that, that's
Yeah, we'll be in lockdown for 4 weeks. 1 month of not being able to do anything. You have to stay home, go to
You'll miss it.
supermarkets.
You'll miss it.
That's really it.
And I say
Staying
that very sarcastically because all year since March, I've had something to do every single weekend. So having nothing to do was actually kind of fun.
It's like a nice getaway.
Oh no, see, because I have 2 kids, so that sucked ass. Because we couldn't leave the fucking house.
See, I don't have kids, so it's good.
Somehow I didn't end up having one.
I had to keep them entertained, and that was not fun.
You could just go for a walk and just leave the kids inside.
your kids know how to take to field strip at M95 now.
No, I don't let them near the guns. Not until later.
Yeah, nobody. Even an adult can't field strip at M95, man. That little like retracting spinny bolt head on an M95.
Don't you need a dime?
You don't need a dime.
No, that's the Argentine 1891 or the Belgian 1889s that you need a dime.
The dime thing is also for the M95s, but if you have any kind of hand strength, you should be able to do it.
That just sounds like a bad design, man.
I didn't say it was a good design. I just said you need hand strength.
That's weird. If only there was a guy
Mauser
in Switzerland that fixed all the shortcomings.
Have you seen the drawings of the conversions to the K31 when they were going to try turn it into a semi-auto from SIG?
Oh, I think
that was on the Swiss rifle page that they got on Facebook. I saw that was quite a cool, like an interesting design. I wish they made them. I reckon that would have been quite a cool gun to have.
Yeah.
The conversion kits to K31s.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think those are one of those bolt action semi-auto conversions, are just like these big wonky contraptions that are just so neat as far as like collectability and shootability. Like I wish, they were more of a thing.
Is it a technical drawing with numbers, or is it a cartoon with no numbers?
I think
like if you wanted to make it.
Yeah, I think you can.
That's cool.
I'll just check. I thought it was very cool because there's some countries in the world which are not really meant to have technical drawings of them. So I'm not sure what people do when they look at that.
Avert your eyes.
Not allowed to save it.
Yeah.
I'll quickly. Yeah, I can send it to you guys.
That's neat, though.
Anybody planning on a trip to Afghanistan to get some free military surplus?
I hear it's very good surplus over there. If you look at the numbers and the stats of it, they've got more Hercules than New Zealand's Air Force. We have 2. They have 3. They've got more guns than the New Zealand Defence Force, which is quite embarrassing. I can't believe how many things were left.
Yeah, I'm looking up a little infographic about it right now. 22,174 Humvees, 64,000 plus machine guns, 358,000 assault rifles, 176 artillery pieces. Wow. Yeah, lots of 16,000 night vision. Yeah. 162,000 radios, 8,000 trucks. Jeez. Yeah, let's see. How many? 33 Blackhawks. Wow. Yeah, they're set up. Man, maybe hope they don't want to invade New Zealand or something.
Or the US. I think the US can probably handle it, but shooting them with their own stuff.
Yeah, so we got to go over there and get some radios, and we can't bring back the lowers, but we can unscrew the buttstocks and everything. We can bring all those M16 parts kits and M4 parts kits back home.
We could just cut them up. Oh, take a blowtorch. 3 points.
Yeah, on the lower. So I don't know if you know this. It's weird, but with an AR-15, the lower is the firearm, not the upper, in the United States. That doesn't make any sense because it's like the only gun that's like the opposite, like a G3 or whatever. Like the upper is the receiver, but with AR-15, the lower is the receiver.
What about a Chris Vector?
I don't know.
Because technically it's back to front. Yeah, I don't know how it works for you guys.
We don't know how it works.
Sounds difficult.
Yeah, nobody knows how it works.
Yeah.
They actually keep it ambiguous.
Yeah.
Too many rules for people to follow.
You're not supposed to ask questions. You're supposed to follow the rules.
But it says I'm allowed machine guns.
You are allowed machine guns, but you will be chastised for owning them by the public.
And you are allowed to shoot them, but not
That's
in New
true.
Zealand.
You are allowed to shoot them.
No, international waters.
Well, no.
I actually don't know what the...
No, you can see them being shot, but not you personally shoot them.
Yeah, your gunsmith. I remember this from last one. Your gunsmith can shoot them once a year to check them out, but only the gunsmith can shoot it. But there's nobody
only
around.
the gunsmith.
Yeah, I remember that. That was actually really interesting to learn.
We're going to imply that no New Zealand person on a C category firearm shoots fully automatic guns in New Zealand. Cool, that was a disclaimer. Done. Just to be careful.
No, of course not.
You never know.
That would be breaking the law.
Yeah, we would never advocate.
Law abiding.
We are. Actually, no joke. I am actually Soup's law abiding.
Yeah, we're the most law-abiding people there is, because if we don't, then they take away our stuff.
I'm really paranoid about breaking the law. Like any law, I'm paranoid about being like a felon or doing something, dumb accidentally or whatever, and losing all my stuff.
So they do the same, because if we break the law, or if we get speeding tickets or too many speeding tickets, they can not renew our license. Which means we pretty much have to hand our firearms to the police or to a person that we know that collects or anything like that. So they can come into your house and take your guns if you're a felon.
For too many speeding tickets?
Is that right? Yeah, like if we get too many speeding tickets, or if they have a grudge against you, they can not renew your license. Is that
okay? So
that with you if you break the law?
So the license is a may issue then, not a shall issue. I don't know if you've heard of that terminology before. That's what we call it in the U.S.
No, I haven't.
So it's the way that the U.S. law is written for certain types of licenses. It'll say blah blah blah. You may be issued a license if you do all this stuff, and so it's a big if you get a license. If you get the right person, you whatever. But if a law is written and it says you shall receive a license if you do all these steps, then shall issue means that they can't not give you a license. As long as you do all the steps, you will get a license.
I guess that would sort of encroach on your Second Amendment right if they don't allow you to have it.
Yeah,
it's a funny system.
Yep. It all is. I think there was a big. I don't know if Aaron or Jared, if you guys remember, there's some big gun court case recently. I'm drawing a blank, but I remember hearing about it on the interwebs. What was it? High capacity mags in California, and
there was one that they said having them or banning the ability to have them or something wasn't lawful.
Yeah, it wasn't constitutional.
Constitutional. So. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah. So.
I watch Matt. I have no idea. Whatever he says.
Yeah, whatever Matt says.
At least good's coming back to the country then, if that's the case.
They'll overturn it in the next circuit. It's every time that there's someone who makes a decision for or against something, they just re-sue them and it goes to the next level, and then eventually it gets to where someone won't want to hear it and it dies. And I'm very cynical about a lot of stuff, including that. So that's the high level version.
Yeah, I guess we'll see what the final ruling on it is. Just goes up and up to the Supreme Court. We'll see what they do.
I'll bet they won't take it.
Which is a good thing if they don't, because if they rule in favor against the ban, they rule against the ban, and then the Supreme Court doesn't want to see it. That's upholding the lower court's ruling.
I didn't know that.
I believe. I ain't no lawman, but I think that's. So yeah, what's some recent guns that you guys have purchased?
I'll go. I got a 1886 LaBelle and Finnish Mosin off of Danny.
That's quite cool. What's
the
Finnish Mosin?
It's an M91. It's one of the Belgian barrels, the B barrels.
That's quite cool.
I have a B-barreled M39, and when I got the 91, I wanted it to be a B-barreled one, so just for OCD.
All you need now is just to get all of them.
Yeah.
Collect them all. And the
Got all
label.
the
What's the
bees.
condition like?
It's
It's
not
good.
bad. Yeah.
I couldn't tell you right now. I think it's pretty good.
He
I don't
hasn't
think
shipped
was
it to me
bad.
yet. I don't know.
Yeah.
I saw pictures, and it was a while ago because I think it was like a month ago that I said I'd buy it from him.
Yeah.
It wasn't as nice as the one that you have, but it was close or something like that.
It was pretty good. It's pretty good. That's the last Thin M91 that I have. I always like I start to get into collecting Finn Mosins, and like I had like three. Like I had the 39, and I had a 27 and the 91, and then like I just I just get out of it and sell one, and then if you have less than three, then it's like why have any like more than one? I don't know if that makes sense, but every time I try to like get into like Fens, I just end up selling them. I don't know. I just can't make myself really get into them because they're, I could see it being neat. There's lots of variations and models and stuff like that. Like it seems collectible, but I just can't get into them.
There's almost too many variations of them.
Yeah, that's true.
Like even the 9130s, there's like a regular 9130 with an SA stamp. Then there's the 9130s with the updated stocks, and there's ones with sights, and there's ones with different barrels, and like there's so many little sub variants of them. I can think of at least 4 right now.
If you're really into them, though,
Yeah,
then it's great to collect all that. You want all the different,
I have an SA
It
marked
keeps you
one.
looking.
Yeah,
I posted
I managed to get a couple out of. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
No, you go ahead.
I managed to get a couple out of Europe, and one was both of them were actually Tika rebarreled, and they're 1943 rebarreled with a I don't know what I just know it as Tika I can't remember what the full name is, but just Tika rebarreled. It has the new stock update, different sights, but I'd never heard, and I've been looking online trying to find out what they are, and I don't want to be the person to post it on Facebook and say, so what have I got? What's so special about this?
what war was this fought?
Do it. Do it.
So I've been just trying to do as much research as possible, but yeah, I, for some reason can't find a huge amount. And I also picked up a Remington production M91 that has SA stamps, but still has the original walnut stock from the US, which I thought was quite cool.
Oh yeah,
Something
nice.
different about it.
Is it a 2-piece still? Because I've seen that before where they kept the back end of the walnut and they put a different front end on it, or is it just all one piece?
All one piece.
Oh, neat. That's cool.
So nothing's changed on it, but it's still got the SA stamp. All one piece. It's quite a cool rifle. I quite like it.
A lot of them that I've seen, that those in the Westinghouses have the SA marks on them. I don't know if
this one's got SA, and I always get asked. It's a hex receiver, and people always think it's worth a lot more when it's hex receiver. I don't know why.
The 91s are.
Yeah, I'll send it on the chat. Yeah, the 91s were.
Yeah.
There's
9130.
I've got a 9130.
Oh, okay.
No, that's a 91. I've got a 9130 as well. But yeah, I thought they were quite a cool piece. I want to go and take it out shooting, and I've got a bit of a plan to go take surplus guns out hunting, and see what I can manage to find and get with one. So
interesting.
Yeah, the SA markings are. I've heard that like they make a gun less valuable, like Mosins, at least in the U.S. Right? With certain types, I don't know if it's the Remingtons or the U.S. ones.
In my opinion, and this is just me, I want an Imperial M91, not a Finnish M91. That's what I would like. So that's where in an instance where I would value a Finnish M91 less than an Imperial M91.
I agree with you, because I would like one for the same reason, just so that way it's a Russian one.
Yeah.
And I would also say that a finished stamped Remington or Westinghouse seems to bring less than a regular one, because the Finns rework the hell out of them.
Which is weird to me, because Finnish Mosins are usually associated with like the best quality Mosins.
But if you're that deep into collecting a certain thing, the quality, like you'd want the original one, and I think
you'd want both.
Yeah, I think you probably would want both, honestly. But
there might not be as many just Imperial ones around, well, available,
There aren't.
and probably more people coming up against, well, finding more Finnish capture.
It's usually kind of weird to see one like, oh, hey, that's just a Russian one, and the first thing, because I do the same thing that probably Aaron does, is like look at the sites. Does the site remark? Yep, okay, it's finished. I don't even have to look at anything else.
I mean, the big SA stamp is pretty easy to see too. They were pretty good about those.
It is, but usually if you're looking on an online auction, when you see the right side of the gun, you can go, oh, it's finished. It takes 2 seconds. And for whatever reason, it's easier for me to just look for that. Because I've seen them light strike the SA before.
But if a Swedish Mauser is SA stamped, it's worth like twice as much.
I
think
would
that's
like
something.
a Swedish Mauser SA stamped.
Okay, I'll ask the
Something I
question
think
then.
would be bloody cool.
What about the Carcanos? Are they worth
I don't
more?
know. I don't know if the Finn ones go for more. Maybe.
No, I don't think so.
I don't know.
I think they don't really go for much because aren't those mostly the 7.35 ones?
Yeah, they
Oh
are.
yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So that's one strike there, 7.35, and then we've already discussed this before, but the Carcano in the U.S. Milsurp world is still
Yes.
pretty much thought of as jack garbage. So
Yeah.
so you got two
Must-
strikes essentially against it right there.
Spaghetti Suda.
Are they wrong?
I think they're not. It goes from gun
depends.
to gun.
Yeah, it depends.
It goes from gun to gun as far as that, and then also the general idea of what was bad has also shifted. So it used to be Arasakas got really shit on a lot. That's definitely shifted, at least in the 10 years that I've been collecting. And then now it's Carcanos that are really getting like beat up a lot. And I think it's mostly because it's just people being elite dumbasses. Because the Carcanos, especially here recently in the U.S., there was a big import of them from Italian police, I think is what it was, Danny.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was like 5 or 6 people, importers or whatever, got a hold of a bunch, and they brought them in, and they were stupid cheap compared to everything else in the market, right?
Yeah. But even kind of before then, they've been really undervalued.
The ammo's wrong.
Yes.
The diameter of the bullets that's available does not match the diameter of the barrel, kind of like an Argentine, but worse. So they don't shoot very good. So everyone got them and shot them, and they can't hit anything. It's the stupid gun. Actually, it's not. It's the bullets.
Isn't
Yeah.
Steinel making stuff to fix that? I thought you were talking about that.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if they came out with the ammo, but last time I talked to them, yeah, they were making a 6.5 that was the correct diameter to address that. And I think because didn't Italy like not adopt a Spitzer or something for 6.5? So theirs was like an in between a round nose and a Spitzer. Their ammunition.
6.5 Carcano was always bottlenosed. They never went Spitzer.
Yeah. So it's probably like a bit of inaccuracy with like nobody's ever picked up a Carcano and been like, oh, this is a real nice bolt, or you have a wonky magazine system where like if you don't have a clip, you can't. It's maybe a single shot. So like it's probably a lot of little things, over the years with old timers shooting these, and you need a stupid clip to shoot it, and it's not even hitting what I'm aiming at, and the bolt sucks, and this is garbage.
Kill a deer with it, too small.
Yeah, which is interesting because I don't see a whole lot of sporterized Carcanos, which makes me think like maybe it being not a great shooter in their eyes, with the bad sized ammo, saved a lot of them from being sporterized.
I don't think the ammo was ever readily available though either. Like
yeah,
to the
that
same-
too probably helped.
to the same extent like 8mm Mauser was available.
Yeah. Like you see a lot more sporterized Mausers and stuff like that than you do Carcanos. I think people are
Do you
still
think it's just due to
sporterizing
being
quite a
good
bit.
shooters? I hope not.
Yeah,
I try not
like
to think of people sporterizing now.
It still
Yeah.
happens.
It does.
yeah. I saw a guy at a gun show a few months ago. I don't know if I told this story already on the podcast or to any of you guys, but he had a Spanish 1916, and I have those like barreled actions and parts. Like I've been trying to put one together, but like the I guess so many of those like parts kits or whatever came out, like the spare parts and the stocks and everything for 1916s are pretty expensive. Like Spanish 1916s are like Ferraris now. They're like worth more money in parts than they are like as a whole thing. So he showed me his Spanish 1916. He just sporterized it, put a scope on it, and he turned down he did something wonky to the bolt, like jeweled it or something, and then he cut the stock, and he was just showing me. He wanted me to tell him about it. So I was like, he cut down a gun that he didn't know anything about, first off. And I was like, you don't want me to tell you how much like money this was worth. And so I told him like the stock's worth like a couple $100 like on its own. Like that's what they go for like on eBay. And then the bolts, just because of the like the action cover and the cocking piece and everything, like that whole unit I think sells for like $100, something like that on eBay. When you find them, complete bolts for a little bit more. Just because everybody's trying to rebuild them, you know, like there's no spare parts for them.
Like if you suddenly came across a bunch of Gewehr 88 bolt heads.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I was just telling him like how much money like basically he wasted, and he was like, "Oh, I guess I shouldn't have sporterized it then." I'm like, "Yeah, you definitely shouldn't have." I probably laid it, like my tone was probably a little on the harsh side when I was telling him that, but only because, you know, you're a little triggered. You know, that boomers are still sporterizing, but
my brother's neighbor just did that to an 03. Yeah, I cut the stock down and drilled and tapped it, made a hunting rifle out of it. I was like, tell him congratulations. He turned a $1,000 rifle into a $200 rifle.
And
it still happens, just not as much, because you can go buy a Savage for $300 and it shoots better.
It's gotta be. It has to be. They don't know what it is. They assume it has little to no value. You know, they don't. I don't know. They don't do any internet research. They don't ask anybody. How do they not know like what it's worth and how much money they're ruining? You know, they just have to be living under a rock and decide to do something like that.
That's what they did in the 60s, and that's what they're going to do today.
Man.
Do you guys mainly just have Savages as sporting rifles and Remingtons and stuff? Do you guys use Mausers and Sauers and Tikkas and Steyr or any of those brands? Like, what would you say your most popular hunting rifles would be?
Winchester Model 70 and Remington 700.
American rifles are the most popular. Yeah. The foreign ones aren't too. Yeah. They're pretty expensive. Yeah, they're expensive. And the guys that are doing most of the hunting, they're not going to want to spend that much. Like, why would they spend that much money for a Tikka or, a modern Mauser when they could spend a quarter of that on a Remington, whatever that their grandpappy used? And
there's a lot of import taxes and fees.
Yeah.
So bullshit to bring it all in, so they just don't do it.
I mean, there are like a handful of the wealthier safari type dudes that I've seen, and they have stuff like that. They have the European bolt guns.
I will say the exception.
US guns.
Oh, sorry.
Bolt actions. Sorry. US bolt actions are not as popular in New Zealand. Like, if you were to buy a Remington 700, just a 308, for example, would cost you 1,300 New Zealand, so it's about $650, $700 US for a 308. That's compared to a Tikka, which for a lot of New Zealanders, Tikka is the brand that most people go to because they're well built, very, very accurate, and they tend to be stainless, so they're great hunting rifles. So it's like for the price, you pay about 100 US more for a Tikka. So we don't tend to get many US inspired guns. Like Savage is not a very big brand in New Zealand. I wouldn't class it very highly here.
I mean, I would, I'd want a Tikka or something like that over a modern Remington, man. Because like most of the American companies like Remington and Winchester and stuff, they're not actually Remington and Winchester anymore. Like it's just pretty much like the names have been bought up by this. What was the name of that big company, Cerberus? They bought Remington, Bushmaster, and all those other guns, and they just pump out cheap guns. Like the qualities went down, and
it's kind of comical because the two hunting rifles I have are both Remington 700s, but they're both from the 90s. So I still think of those as being what to go buy, because I have ones that are one's from the 90s and one's from the 80s, and they're really good. but they're way before all that.
Yeah. And the pre-64 Winchesters are the big money ones.
Which is a Mauser with a large extractor.
Yeah.
Even bigger.
The other ones you can get are like a Savage Axis and a Ruger something. I think it's a 77.
Ruger Ranch. Oh, 77's the Mauser.
Yeah,
A
I think
good gun.
77's the larger action. Like those are the most common, but here you can buy a Remington 700. I haven't done it in a long time, but you could buy one for like $500.
Okay.
New. And
But then,
that was
like I noticed you guys are so competitive because you've got so many guns. You guys can actually get good prices on guns. Like hunting rifles, we have about, like say for example, we've got 15 major importers from New Zealand. I swear they've got a gentleman's agreement about guns that they don't drop under these certain prices, so they don't have to. So we just have to spend the money, and because we get told we are at the bottom of the earth, that everything costs so much more to get here, which it does cost a lot to get here, but it's not as much as they portray it to be. And then they keep a premium on all of the products, which is
sounds a
bit of a
little bit
shame,
like a
'cause I
cartel,
wish-
maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Get your tinfoil hats
Pretty-
out, guys.
I always put mine on before the podcast, man. It fits so good.
I wouldn't be shocked if that was the case, man.
Yeah, I don't know if New Zealand has the similar antitrust laws as the United States, but
That would be so
yeah,
hard to prove, though.
yeah. I mean, it's illegal in the United States to do something like that, but I don't know if it's we prove it and whatever.
Is it though?
Yeah, it's illegal to
Danny?
do it here. It's definitely illegal to do price fixing here. That's why I called it a gentleman's agreement.
Ah,
To no one. That's like I think it happens a lot, which is you're not allowed to do it all, but I'm sure it happens. And you said you took off your tinfoil hat. I keep it on all the time.
No,
I
I
said put it on.
No, I always put mine on, man. I make little like a captain's hat, and you're gonna do it. You're gonna do it.
ever think about?
I've run out of tinfoil.
They ever think about putting a big motor on the New Zealand islands and kind of putting them up a little bit closer to something else?
Not
we would
East
go
Asia.
close to Australia.
Not
but
East Asia
I
right
don't wanna
now.
get
No
that
way.
close.
Go up,
No.
northeast towards the U.S. or get up closer to Australians. I heard New Zealanders love Australians.
Yeah,
And vice versa.
like Americans being called Canadian, or
Oh, yeah.
vice versa.
I don't think
Well,
I've
we
ever
just-
had that happen.
Yeah, we just say we're Canadian when we travel overseas.
My wife's
Get loved a
basically
lot more,
Canadian.
She's oh yeah,
Mark is basically right.
yeah, Mark in Maine. That's his nickname in the group chat. Almost Canadian.
I thought that was Gage.
Probably is actually.
Or wait, no, yeah. Well, they're both
Well,
are.
they're both in Maine.
Oh, they're
but
both in Maine, but yeah,
they're both
Gage's
almost
nickname, not Mark.
Canadian.
Yeah.
I must say, Gage has got some bloody cool guns. I've been seeing what he posts, and I've been
Yeah.
watching and going, "Holy shit, that is
Yeah.
impressive."
The cool thing about Gage, unlike a lot of collectors, it doesn't go to his head.
Yeah, like he will. I could post something 95 or whatever, and I go on about something, and he'll be like, "That's really cool," and be like sincere about it.
Like he doesn't think he's hot shit because he has a lot of rare, expensive stuff. Like he still thinks other stuff is cool. He's a good guy. Like a lot of other collectors, they think highly of themselves once they amass like a certain type of collection. But Gage is still like down to earth about it. So cool,
Which is
cool
good.
dude. Yeah, I met him a couple times in Maine when I was working over there. But yeah, man, one day I want to go to New Zealand. I know you hear it all the time, but we watched LOTR. My wife and I did a marathon night, extended cuts, and
What's that?
now we want to go.
Full sincerity. What's that?
Oh, Lord of the Rings, LOTR.
It's you'll look at some places in New Zealand and you'll go, "Oh, I know where that's filmed." Like I can point on a map where most of it was filmed because if you watch Lord of the Rings, where Mount Doom is and stuff like that, I'll send on the link because I guarantee you no one will be able to spell it. But Tongariro Crossing is the name of the mountains, and that's where they filmed up the top. So I can point out places in there and go, "Oh, that looks familiar. I did that walk a few years ago. It looks quite cool." And yeah, I'm sure there's lots of places in the world that are got some amazing views like that.
Yeah, I don't know if that's cliche now to bring that up. I'm talking about New Zealand, but it's
That's what we're
gorgeous.
known
Have you?
for.
Oh, are you? Yeah, are you that in Kiwis? Are you known? Are those any of those places that you know where they filmed in Lord of the Rings,
Mm.
like areas that you can shoot or hunt?
Yes, yeah, there is a lot
Is-
of it's filmed in the South Island on what we call the west coast of, which is pretty self-explanatory, of the South Island, which is very rugged. You can do a lot of hunting through there. There'd be a lot of red deer, not many whitetail, sambar, and I think there'd be some seeker deer through there as well. So be
'Cause
good
it would,
hunting through.
yeah. I mean, it'd be pretty baller to like go hunting in an area that like they hunted orcs at in the movie or something like that, or just to shoot,
can
like
take
go shoot Milsurps.
I can take you to a couple of places. We've got a Milsurp shoot coming up, and it's become very popular in New Zealand to get into competition military surplus shooting. So we've got a trench dugout for it, and we're going to be shooting in trenches, which I thought was quite cool. And then there'll be also a grenade throwing, not live grenades, but a grenade throwing
Boo.
area. I wish it was live, but can't really get away with that. Which
You
I think would
can
be
one
quite cool,
time.
and we wouldn't have to dig trenches then, I guess. It'd be quite cool, actually.
You gonna wear kit for it, or just
Probably not. No, I don't think a lot of people don't tend to have the kit as well. A lot of them, because everything costs so much here for our rifles, like now it's starting to get more and more expensive. That they don't tend to buy kit. Like I'd be happy to go grab my Swiss uniform and get out there and shoot with a Swiss uniform. But yeah, I think I'd be one of the only people that do that. Oh, there is reenactors, I guess.
Weirdo.
That's the kind of stuff though. Like I think Jared and I both are like, there's a certain level of appreciation you get like for a gun or a uniform or whatever time period when you actually like wear it. You know, wear the uniform, you wear the
Yeah.
equipment. Like it's a little like it's a slippery slope where you get a gun and then you have to get the correct sling for it, and then you need to get the correct pouches, the correct loading device, the correct pouches, because loading just from your pocket is different than loading how the actual soldiers loaded, and then it kind of goes from maybe the pouches to the jacket or whatever, and then sooner or later you're wearing the whole get up with the helmet, and yeah
shooting
but,
with a helmet
well, look,
sucks.
yeah.
Oh, I hate shooting with a helmet. I went to the range and I brought my helmet with me once, and I put it on, and yeah, that was not the greatest. I don't know how people wore helmets, or still do. I think they're probably a better design now, but mine's still
Not
Swiss.
really. I have a modern helmet. It's not that much different. You can't really, when you get it right, you just kind of have it the way it is. So like a modern helmet is basically a Stahlhelm. If you put them side by side, it's really easy to tell. And they made it so that
Yeah,
they didn't use that design for a while, and then everyone kind of forgot about it, and then they're like, hey, check out our new helmet, and it's like, yeah, it's a Stahlhelm. Like, it's a German helmet because it gives you the maximum protection, but you can still hear, and it doesn't get in the way.
It's the same basic design.
Yeah,
it's pretty much as a Stahlhelm, but the helmets, the modern helmets did the exact same like design thing as the Stahlhelm. So the PSGT helmet, like the first like Kevlar, was like the NATO standard helmet. It's like the 1916 style helmet. It's kind of like the same design, and it's too big. It's like overly big, a little bit clumsy.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was redesigned into the MICH, the MICH helmet, slimmed down and turned into that, which is kind of like like the 1935 style helm.
Yeah.
So even like it's like the same lesson, like how many years in the future.
If you want maximum protection while still doing it here. Yeah.
Yep. And they even do, I forgot what the helmet's called with the ear cutouts.
Yeah, I don't know what it. I know what you're talking about. I don't know what it's called, but it's
Yeah. The Germans did that too, I think. I forgot what they called theirs, the 1917 or something like that. And then the modern American helmet does the same thing. I don't know anything about the modern helmet, but there's it's like a Mitch with like the ear cutouts for the cool kids.
high speed, low drag.
The deaf kids.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, so they can wear their headphones with the helmet on, so they can be high speed.
Earpods.
Yeah. See, that's all you need. Just ear pods. You don't need no fancy hearing protection.
In the South, was that noise cancelling device on? She'll be right.
Not in
Okay.
the U.S. That's a stamp.
Mm-hmm.
Who were we talking about that the other day, Danny? About how it was weird to people in like the British Commonwealth that we don't allow suppressors.
Oh yeah. Was it Hamish?
No, we had discussed it with Hamish before, but like we were talking about it to somebody else, but it was like,
Yeah.
no, you know what? I think
Yeah.
it might have been oh crap, what's his name over in Switzerland?
Oh, Kuno?
Yeah, Kuno. I think it was Kuno.
Yeah. It's dumb.
It's super weird.
And that's just one of
We use
those
them.
Hollywood laws, man. What are you
I
gonna
use
say,
them all the
Hamish?
time, even on just 22s. That's predominantly what I use them on. Pretty much any hunting rifle I have, I'll run suppressed.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
I said, like we were talking
'Cause-
about, it's like it's not a thing. It's like not a thing whatsoever in most of the world where it's like, no, it's not a big deal.
It's funny here going to the range and having people like some guy like, yeah, I got a suppressor, and it's like, well, the other 12 of us don't, so you still got to put hearing protection on.
Yeah. If you bring anything NFA to the range though, you get bugged like a million times. People want
you
to
gotta
know.
stand for that? You gotta stand for that?
You got
No,
your
yeah. Hey,
the most quote unquote freedom loving people are gonna be asking you for your papers for your for your unconstitutionally infringed item.
Well, I find that the pricing for suppressors in the US is just crazy.
It's
Like I looked at was it Daniel Defense ones? They're over $1,000 for those things.
Oh yeah.
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 Like-
My buddy bought
like
a
a
few of them, and
suppressor.
they were like that. They were $1,000.
it's a luxury item, man.
They do have these really cool kiosks though, that where
for
you
your,
get,
for your paperwork.
yeah, you go in and like you just do the thing at the kiosk and it does it all for you. Pretty neat. I don't own
Like-
one, but he told me about it.
Yeah, that's probably the way.
Suppressor
I
in
have
New
to do
Zealand's
it.
like a 50 USD for a 22 suppressor,
Excuse me.
and
Yeah, what was that? One more time?
Baking powder?
Yeah.
so like for a suppressor, like if I was to buy suppressors from any of the suppliers in New Zealand, we can get them for like a 22 would be about 100 New Zealand dollars, so about 50 US.
Jeezy Pete's.
Yeah.
And you don't need a license for it. People that don't even own firearms can buy them because they're not technically a firearm, so you can't really regulate that. Centerfire, like a 223 suppressor, would be, I don't know, for a cheap one would cost you about 150 US, and an expensive one would go up to about 400 US.
Yeah.
And if you were to buy 308s or 50 cals or 12 gauge shotgun suppressors, you can get them for about, I don't know, 400 US.
You've just
also,
pissed off a bunch
just
of our
depends on-
listeners, Hamish.
Yeah.
Yeah, that hurts, man.
Yeah, that's painful.
Frickin'
Well,
New
it-
Yeah.
Zealand loving freedom lovers.
Tasmanian
No,
devil.
we've got no semi-auto centerfires.
No, I know.
You guys are the lucky ones. I would give up my suppressor to have centerfires again, semi-auto centerfires. I would go, yeah, I don't even care about suppressors. But then if you think about it, they're nothing special. They're just sort of discs
Yeah.
with baffles in them.
It's the Hollywood, like
So-
Danny said. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's just a Hollywood thing, man. Hollywood made people think that suppressors are silencers and that they completely silence a gun, man. Like you can watch, what was it, John Wick 2 or something, where they had that shootout, like they're walking and they're shooting at each other with suppressed pistols, and it's just completely silent, like nobody around them
Yeah,
notices.
in a crowded like train station or something. Like no frickin'
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
So that's like the perception, is that it makes a gun extra dangerous and used, for nefarious reasons only, which is weird
We
because
get
like
that
a lot.
here. Like it's an unknown because we have just so many people watching Hollywood movies, and they go, oh wow, you guys can own suppressors here. And I was speaking to a guy that was from Ukraine, I think it was, and he looked at me and he was going, are you an assassin? And I went, no, I care about my hearing. That's all I care about. Like, I'm caring about me when I'm 70 years old and being able to listen. That's all I want to do.
Yeah, that's all. That's what it is.
So-
Like it's assassinations tool or something like that.
Yeah.
When
They
really
tried
just
to-
so I can hear.
They tried to remove suppressors from the NFA. There's an act. It was like the Hearing Safe Act or something like that. But
Hearing Protection Act.
yeah, it never went anywhere. So
It's because they get money from it. It'll never. I'll be the cynic. It never goes anywhere because it's how they get money.
yeah, but
can't
the
get-
amount that they get, it's going to go down and down and
But
down. I don't know
would
if
you
you know this, Hamish, but so the law that regulates them went in effect in 1934, and there's a tax. Everyone you buy is $200. So in 1934, $200 was like $2,000 or something. But
So
they
it was
didn't
a
put a
poor
thing
person
to.
tax. It kept poor people from having
Yeah.
them.
Yeah, it's just it's a poor person tax. So, and now, and today after 100 years or 90 years on inflation, it's $200 is $200. So it's actually affordable, especially when you're buying $1,000 suppressor, like $200 is it sucks, but it's not that much, so you can do it. And I think that's why in the 80s they banned new manufacturing of machine guns, because $200 was getting pretty cheap in the 80s, and a lot of people were doing it.
This seems ridiculous.
Yeah, you know what the worst part about the Hughes Amendment is? You can actually pull up the footage on C-SPAN, but it was voted down. You can see like people like voting, and you can see the vote tallies, and it was just recorded that it was voted,
Wow.
like that it passed when it failed.
A lot of especially in the 60s, the anti-gun laws in the 60s were a lot of fear from Black Panthers, which is just really, really racist bullshit when you go back and look at it, especially in California. What all started there is because of Black Panthers.
Yeah, I think that's when they banned open carry, was it initially because of a lot of that stuff? Which, like
Yeah.
I said, again, like it doesn't make any sense, because these supposedly freedom-loving people are like, yeah, let's pass gun laws. You got your papers for that? Like it's really weird. Like they'll be the first people to be like, you better give money to NRA if you don't want them to take our 22s. But then yeah.
You got a stamp for that?
Yep. The same guy that asks you if you have a stamp, he's got an NRA sticker on his truck.
Life member.
Yeah, yeah, life member. Yep.
Life member.
Well, we need something like an NRA here, because we don't have the right. There's no Second Amendment for us. It's just you've been given the privilege to own firearms, which is probably going to piss off a lot of your listeners as well for that, because I said that once before on a forum, and a lot of guys in the US just were going, no, it's your birthright. Fortunately, the New Zealand police and New Zealand government don't believe that. So
Yeah.
it would be good to have something like that here.
It's your birthright to own firearms and burn gasoline in your V8 powered pickups. All right.
Well, yeah, and drink Busch Light the whole time.
Dude, I'll drink Busch Light.
So yeah, like so if we like as like Americans, like if we believe in like the Second Amendment or whatever, like it doesn't come from a piece of paper, and it's a inalienable right, and so therefore we believe everybody has that right. But whether or not your people or your government recognizes that right is something that you have to fight a revolutionary war for.
Yeah, and I don't think that's going to happen anytime.
Yeah, well, I guess New Zealand's still a like Commonwealth. You're still part of the British Empire.
We're still part
Right.
of the. Yep, we're still part of the British Empire. Essentially, we still have. Well, our democracy's a little bit different to your guys, where you've got, isn't it 2 levels to the House, and then you've got a Senate, or
Yeah, we have a Senate
we've
and the
just
House.
got one Senate in the House. We've just got the House. That's it. There's no Senate. There's just one Parliament where you've got a Prime Minister, which is currently a very left-leaning lady, and which she doesn't really believe in gun rights or anything like that, or guns in New Zealand. So anyway,
Is she for life or is there a term?
term
For life.
thankfully.
That was a legit question.
President,
all right?
you have a president for life.
President for life. No,
I bloody hope not. But then the thing about ours is they can go back into power multiple times, so it's not just two times like you guys can have. Like Trump could be in there
No.
twice.
Yeah.
So yeah, we could have one leader in power for 30 years if they get voted for 30 years, which we've had one leader I think was in power for 12 years, and that was all voted for. They just won the votes every year.
Yeah.
So.
The U.S. it was a tradition. It wasn't a law, but it was a tradition to only do twice. And FDR, something else to hate about FDR. He was the first one to say screw that and get voted in. Some say that FDR was our first, the closest thing the U.S. has ever had to a dictator.
Who is FDR?
Roosevelt, president
Second
during
World War.
World War. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
The goofy looking guy in a wheelchair.
Yeah. The guy in the wheelchair who
no one
lied
wants to
about being in a wheelchair.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, sort of. He just pretended like he wasn't in a wheelchair to get elected and stuff.
Which side was he on?
Oh, you mean like which party?
Yeah, which party was he?
Oh, he was a Democrat.
Yeah.
Which the Democrats were like different.
Yeah, it was all different
40s.
back in the 40s and 50s.
Yeah. There was a swap in like the 70s.
60s, civil rights movement started
60s,
that. LBJ was the one that really pushed the Democrats into the civil rights movement.
So, yeah,
if you ever
like
really
the
want
policy
to watch something fascinating, watch stuff about LBJ. That dude gave no shits.
Oh man, good old LBJ.
He would be doing interviews with reporters, and then he would wave them to follow him, and he'd be doing the interview and then walk into the bathroom and go to the bathroom while doing the interview, just like a power move.
That is a power move.
That's awesome.
Just be like, I don't give a shit, get in here.
Yep, just sit down on the toilet right in front of him and lock in eye contact the whole time. Yep.
That's what he would do.
Power move.
That's awesome.
That's ballsy.
Then, so he had, I can't remember the name of the kind of car, but there was a brief period in time where this car company made these amphibious cars for the civilian market, and he had one, and he would take people on trips in it that didn't know it was an amphibious car, and would drive into lakes and rivers, freaking out like he had lost control, and then just laugh his ass off whenever he would get into the water. Like he gave no shits.
Man, that's cool.
That's awesome. That's funny.
That's quite cool.
I bet if he had a Twitter account, he'd tweet mean stuff.
I was keeping it clean. I was trying to be nice. It was called an amphicar.
Yeah.
That's quite cool.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of neat stuff about if you go and look. I can't remember what was it might have been on Netflix where they had a documentary about him and his, like, he was one of the very few people in the Democratic Party that was pushing for civil rights. Both parties didn't really want to mess with it.
Isn't he also responsible for the GCA? He did the Gun Control Act of '68.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, that's some bitch. That's our other big one. There's like the two big gun laws that they passed, the 34 NFA and then the Gun Control Act of 1968 that still affects us daily.
What did they
The one in 68 is kind of made firearms, like made firearms a special like thing where you can't ship them in the mail anymore, and it set up like firearms dealers. It set up rules for like doing serial numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
yep. Import marks.
Yeah, yep. I had to start adding import marks. All guns had to be serialized after that. And then import marks have changed over the time.
It's not going to change anything. Like, it's not going to save anybody's life. It's going to create another person's job.
Yeah, I know. And the weird thing is a lot of people think that the import mark has to remain, but there is some thought, and without giving legal advice, that you can actually remove an import mark freely, as long as there's no like newly added serial number. You can't like unmark a serial number, but you can remove an import mark if it just gives basic info.
Yeah, early
Totally.
serials, early import marks were not serialized. They just had the name of the gun and the name of the importing company.
Yeah. And import marks are only serialized now if the receiver doesn't have a serial on it already. So those Carcanos that came in from Italy recently, those have a serial number put on them with the import mark, because Carcanos the barrel serialized, not the.
And the early import marks just basically said like made in Germany or made in Italy.
Oh yeah, or it would just say Germany.
Yeah, Germany.
Or 8mm.
Yeah. Or like our
So if
Argentines,
you
it
come
says
across-
765.
Really? Oh, okay. Because I noticed now you guys have just got big billboards on the side of it for the
Yeah,
import.
huge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, ATF keeps making it more and more strict, and like more and more information that has to be put on it. So it's got to be a certain size, and it's got to contain a whole bunch more
Certain
information.
font.
Yeah, certain fonts. So it's getting worse. I mean, it used to just be like you could put it underneath a barrel, like a tiny little like Century Arms, like it would just say like underneath like a barrel on a Russian capture K98K or something. But now, yeah, it's got to be big and visible, and so a lot of the K31s coming in, like they have those big billboards on the side of them. So whenever I'm going to buy a Swiss gun, that's one of the things I always look for is the import mark, and if it's got a big one on the side, I typically pass.
I must admit, it looks terrible.
Oh yeah, it's a damn shame.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for a bolt gun that
mean-
was, stopped being made in the 60s. Yeah, good job, guys.
Or the worst part though is when they do the import mark over other markings.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, yeah. But
Those M95s with SS marks.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah,
Covering up
no,
those
not like
marks there.
that. Like
some importers are cool, and they will actually put the import mark like under the wood line or under the grips of a gun. But
Some handguns are like that where they put them down by the mag well. It's actually pretty nice.
yeah, they'll try to put it somewhere, less obvious, like on the outside of it. But it just depends on the company. Most don't care. They just put them through, put the big laser etch on the side. That's got to be the worst. That's got to be the worst thing that like is happening to guns. Like collectively, thousands of guns getting billboards laser etched on the side of them might be worse than like the bubbas that are happening right now, right? Like the total damage, historical damage being done. I don't know.
Yeah.
you mean like total damage
think so.
wise? Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I mean like thousands of guns being
Every
messed
single
up.
new one. Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit versus a handful of guns being really messed up. You know what I mean? I don't know. That was just a thought.
The US buys, I'd probably say, like there's one place that I buy out of Switzerland, and I know that they buy thousands and thousands and thousands of K31s
Yeah,
every year. Like I would say, close to there's one importer that only brings in Swiss guns. I think in the US,
Cough.
Edelweiss.
Yeah.
Cough.
Oh,
I was
Edelweiss.
going to say it's Edelweiss.
Yep.
And I know those guys. I'd say they bring in closer to 12 to 30,000 guns a year. It's like it's a lot.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if they're single-handedly scraping the bottom of that market.
Yeah. I have a
Yeah.
feeling one day Swiss people are going to be mad at Americans for buying all their. You can't even get a K31 in Switzerland anymore because they're all in America
They sold them.
and New Zealand. That Hamish guy in New Zealand.
Yep. Yeah, it's all the gun stores though. They've got huge stockpiles of them. Well, had stockpiles of them. They're slowly but surely getting lower and lower for them. There's very, very little left. So if you want to get one, you probably better get one now.
I don't want one.
Yeah.
I bought
Like I
Danny's.
should have bought that K31 last weekend.
I bought Danny's when I was out seeing him.
Get one of
You
those
mean when you guys
1893.
weren't filming the video about the Portuguese K98?
Oh, geez.
Don't blame me.
There's a whole reason I left you that Vaquero, Danny.
There's a whole it's on my list of regrets in life. It's
You
on the
would be-
list.
Did you not do a video?
They actually look very, very similar. You can see where a lot of the features came from on it. It's kind of neat. I was happy. I learned something.
Hamish, you probably don't realize this, but I was at Danny's house and I lent him my Vigero 1903 or 1904/35. I want to say 35. I don't remember. The 8mm version of the Vigero that they changed to make it look more like the K98K version that they had, and he kept it because Jared was coming over with his Portuguese K98K and he was going to do a video.
I even bought a stock for it because it didn't have the right stock on it. So I bought the Waffenamp stock for it for like almost as much as I paid for the rifle.
Wow.
And then they went and shot guns and didn't do a video.
We didn't shoot guns.
I don't
We
know
bought them.
Guns.
what you did.
We bought guns.
We filmed. Yeah, we went out and bought guns, and we filmed 2 long videos,
Mhm.
and we just didn't have time.
We had steak to eat and beer to drink, buddy. All right.
I don't.
But
Yep. And we confirmed Jared's love for Miller Lite.
yes, we
And
blind tested
the
light
blind
beer.
taste test.
Yep.
On that note, guys, I think I need to call it a night.
Yeah. Nice. Well, thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, you're very welcome, Hamish. Thanks so much for coming back on. I've asked you the last couple times. I can't get enough of that accent. So
Yeah.
glad you could finally make it back.
Yeah, no, I'm used to hearing American accents, so it's probably you're not used to hearing New Zealand accents.
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay.
Cool.
Well, have a good day.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah,
Thanks
okay.
thanks everybody
Yeah.
for listening.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for Jared and Aaron, and I guess we'll catch everybody later.